I'll call the meeting to order. First is, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among our united cultures.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Ms. Ragland.
Ms. Stevenson? Here. Mr. Sidwell?
Here.
Mr. Box?
Here.
Mr. Sandoval?
Here.
Mr. Primrose?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Everybody had a chance to read the agenda for October 17th.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Roll call, please.
Ms. Stevenson? Yes. Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Box?
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
And Mr. Primrose?
Yes.
And
All right. Was there public comments is next?
Yes, sir.
No public comments. Next will be approval of the minutes for our regular board meeting on September 26th. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes, September 26th, 2023.
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Box?
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
Mr. Primrose?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson? Yes. And the motion carried.
All right, thank you. Chairman's report. I would like to thank Matthews and the rodeo team and all of the faculty that helped for the rodeo. Other than it was really cold, it was a good event, and I want to thank everybody that helped put that on. It's quite an undertaking to do 2 rodeos in 2 days, but they did a real good job. Next under the reports is the President's board report.
I'll kind of highlight a couple things and add a couple things since sent this out. I think Mr. Kaiser is going to talk about spring break, and we did do a survey of the staff and faculty on moving that, and so I'll leave that with him. We did the State Board of Nursing visit is going on today and tomorrow. We actually just met some of the administration with the visiting team just a little bit ago at 4 o'clock. They do that visit for any new program. They kind of wait, 6, 7, 8 months after it started, and then they do that visit. So, obviously we're learning a lot of things that we need to look at to help us be successful in the long run. But it's not a visit to say we're shutting this program down or anything. It's just a visit and then they'll come back in about a year and see what we've done and changes of that. But Mr. Kaiser or Mr. McVeigh may have more on the rest of the meetings, but our meeting seemed to go well, and we actually got some good ideas to kind of help ease and get our program keep moving forward. We did get a message a day or 2 ago that the capital outlay hearing where HED presents their recommendation to DFA, I think, and Mesalands was not included in any of that. And I was a little disappointed because of the work and effort that Mr. Martinez put into that. He and I went down and presented that in July. And so I reached out and said, you know, I'd just kind of like to know why none of that was approved. And I knew that we would have to have our 22 and 23 audits done before we would be eligible for that money, but I'd hoped we would at least get that opportunity to get our 23 audit done by December, but they did not recommend that based on the fact that we don't already have it done. So that'll be another year. I don't think we got any last year, and we won't this year, but you know, the benefit of it is that, well, at least Mr. Martinez has been through this process for HED. I've seen some of it, and hopefully we'll have all those audits done, and for next year because there's no doubt that we definitely have needs for that money. More, well, I'll just go ahead and say it, more so than some of the others that were presented by other colleges, but we've got to get things in order, and I understand that. We will be doing the RPSP proposals Thursday. Mr. Kaiser and Mr. McVeigh will be taking the lead on that, and as you all approved, we're going to be presenting ideas on or proposals for nursing, for CDL, for wind energy, and then we also have kind of a recurring RPSP for athletics, and so hopefully that goes well on the 19th. Other things on the budget, I know you all approved several of those, and we kept making changes. Ms. Sharmer worked to correct some math, didn't change the budget any, and we did kind of get an indication that it would be approved, and finally moved on to DFA, and so now we still have to go back, and she's going to be working on the 22 and 23 actual numbers. Those are still going to need some work to get them corrected and approved. I did go to the Tucumcari board meeting last night, school board meeting, just to kind of like I've done with the county and the city, to kind of introduce myself, give an update on where the college is at, and also shared with them some information, like, you know, we'd like to host maybe a Tucumcari school day at Mesalands, a time where we could have like juniors and seniors maybe come down and tour the campus and go through things. There's also Mr. McVeigh might have more information on this, but ECMC, which we get some of our emergency funding for student food and assistance, they're hosting and I don't have the name of it. Mr. McVeigh will have to bring that up, but it's basically kind of like a workshop or training for high school students to you know, what to do, what they need to do to prepare for college, how to, you know, get registered and financial aid, some of that stuff, and I'll get it mixed up if I try to go on about that. But anyway, I tried to share some of that with them, and you know, just kind of express that we definitely want to work with them. We want to you know, build maybe a better partnership than we've had in the past, and also, you know, I think our future needs to look toward developing CTE programs in the area. When I got there was a big crowd, and Mr. Johnson met me in the hall, and I said, I don't ever see a crowd this big unless you're hiring a basketball or football coach. But anyway, they weren't there to see me. They were.
Well, I want to interject here a little bit. I was there at the meeting for the other activities, okay, as support. And I think you did a very good job in presenting the Mesalands and what we are trying to do, what we have done, how far we have come, and how we wanted to reach out and work with them and the other area schools and the other people in the community. I think you did a very good job, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. I want to echo what Mr. Primrose said. You know, Coach Hughes and his rodeo team, because they're And I think you mentioned that in the Clay County Sun article this week. You know, those kids, if they're not competing, they're generally out there working. And to put on 2 rodeos, you know, 2 full days of, you know, your slack and then your performances and you know, they were over quick. The finals each night were over before 8 o'clock, and it just seemed to go really smooth. And that's just a testament to Coach Hughes and the program that he runs, and so that is something to be proud of. That's about all I can think of right now, unless you all have any questions or anything.
What you find out about a board travel or money?
We have,
There's nothing in
there's nothing in travel. We don't have anything in the budget right now for it. But if that's something y'all want to put in there when we do the bar, we can work to set. But we haven't got to the point where we can do a bar yet. Does that make sense? Our budget amendment request. But at this point, we don't have any money in there.
Oh, can I still talk to if the board wants to have a meeting with the community and the county and the hospital and the school and them?
That's something you all as a board would have to decide.
Well, and I think what you did last night went a long ways toward fulfilling that thing that Jimmy wants there. You know, and you're visiting with the county commission and city commission and so forth. And I think you did an excellent job there last night.
Well, and you're keeping up with all of the boards, letting them know where we're at. And, I think I know you did a good job at the county. Just letting all the boards know what we're doing and where we're at is extremely helpful, I think, for college.
There's one thing I don't want to give up is the giving fish. Want to get partnership with them people so we could do something with the lake and have a science program.
Yeah. I talked to Mr. Teacher again, but we haven't followed up on some of that stuff. But I know he's integral, or was an integral piece of that at one point. But I'll try to reach out to him again and give you an update on that.
I want to have a meeting with him also. I want to talk to him again.
All right. I guess the action item would be to reschedule our November meeting to the 16th, from the 14th to the 16th.
Yeah, if y'all don't mind, I've got to be out for my wife's doctor appointment. I don't have to be at the meeting, but if it's not too much trouble to move that ahead 2 days, that would help me out.
I don't see a problem in it.
I won't be here on Thursday. Have meetings and
I won't be.
doctor meetings in Albuquerque.
I won't be here on Thursday either, but it may be where I can come in on the internet. If that's
Well,
possible.
if you all want to go ahead and have the meeting on Tuesday, I can definitely at least Zoom in,
What
and
about
I don't mind doing
Wednesday?
that.
Would Wednesday be a better day?
I'm just used to not doing anything on Wednesday night.
I understand.
That's just a habit.
Wednesday either.
You won't be able to do Wednesday.
Okay.
November's meeting is what you want to
My-
move?
My,
The November,
my
What date?
doctor's appointments are on Friday, but we're traveling on Thursday.
Okay.
no, the 15th would be okay with me. November
Would you be
15th would be
here
a
Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Teresa would be here Wednesday? No?
I might be just a little bit late.
That's fine with me.
Is everybody good with Wednesday, the 15th?
Well, okay.
Thanks so. Okay.
So if I have any doctor's appointment next month, I will.
So we'll, I'll entertain a motion to have our November meeting on Wednesday, November
Second.
Judy? So a motion and a second to change the November meeting to the 15th on Wednesday. Roll call, please.
Mr. Boggs?
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
Mr. Primrose?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
And Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
And the motion carried.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll go to September financial report.
I left my copy in my office, but if you all have any questions, no,
I didn't have any.
I would note on the cash flow statement, again, and this is kind of a repeating, we're starting to see some of the financial aid come in. We should be getting ready to start billing for the corrections students. And so, I'm still kind of hoping that we look okay for the next month or two. I don't say that with a lot of certainty, but I think we're operating at a pretty restrictive level, and we're following some of those new guidelines at approvals and making sure that what we spend we really need to spend, or we see the benefit to the college or the students, and so those are good signs, I think. And hopefully, once we get Ms. Sharma gets the report of actuals straightened out, we can spend more time on getting the budget maybe aligned a little better than what it is. So anyway, any questions on the finances?
Well,
This is not on the financial, is there any financial questions? I've got another question.
I just have one comment. I like the list of the checks. At some point in time when we get a reporting up, I would really like to see maybe what they're all.
Where they came out of, or?
I know you're working on requisitions where they're all uniform, and the requisitions would give us more information as to what it's actually for, other than just the company.
So would you like to see the whole requisition for each check?
Well, and I know that's a lot of paper, but what I'm used to at the city and the county, we would have the requisitions in a basket with the check order.
Okay.
I know a lot of the checks are already gone, but the requisition. So if we had the requisitions, if there was any questions, we could look at the requisition prior to approval.
Okay.
It's just you wouldn't want to give everybody a copy.
Right.
But if you had a question before the meeting, you could look at it and see exactly what it was.
Would that be,
I know that.
is that doable right now? Do you know?
Or
I will visit with the business office and see what we can work
Yeah.
toward.
Probably Rachel, maybe.
Mr. Chair, Dr. Moss, if I may. So every purchase order that I create, I have a folder on my shared drive, and it has every single purchase order that's been generated for that month. What I can do, it's an electronic copy, it's already created, it's not much extra work. I can actually send you a copy, the whole board, a copy of every single purchase order that's been created for each month, or to that date prior. So for example, I ran purchase orders this afternoon. I think I created 4, so before today's meeting, if you wanted, I could actually send those electronically. Said it would be a lot of paperwork.
right.
If it's electronic.
That's just too much paperwork. But if you have an electronic, we get the agenda electronically anyway. We have that. We could go through the checklist, and if there was any questions, we could actually go to the requisition or the purchase order and see more
Purchase order
detail.
will have, so it's only things that have been encumbered. It doesn't necessarily mean what's been purchased to date. It's just encumbering the funds, but you'll actually have the line item for which department and which line item it's hitting, the vendor, and then a brief description of actually what's being requested to be purchased.
That'd be great.
Thank you, Mark.
I appreciate that. That would really help out. Thank you very much. So, that was my only question. Do you have a question on the
Yeah,
budget?
yeah. Where are we at on getting a small business development director?
So we've interviewed one person. We're still, so actually Ms. Gallegos, the SBDC state, like, assistant director or whatever, we had an email conversation yesterday, or was it, or maybe Thursday. I'm still waiting on a reference to call back, and she said, definitely give me a call when you hear that, about that reference. And she said I had some follow-up thoughts after the interview. So
Hopefully we're getting close.
we're getting close. I should have, you know, if I can't get anything back from that reference by, you know, tomorrow or Thursday, I'm gonna give her a call and discuss it with her. But at this point, we had 2 applicants. One of them backed out that we were gonna interview, and so we did the one interview, and that's where we're at.
Okay.
But I'll send you an update on what I find out this week.
Thank you.
And we are, I'm sorry,
That's
I
right.
was just gonna add, we are hosting, like business boot camp, next week. Is it next week?
26, I was going to bring that up tomorrow.
Okay, 26th. And so that's sponsored by the SBDC, and while we don't have an SBDC person, I think it's like New Mexico State and Luna is actually the people that will be doing the training, but we are hosting that here on campus, so.
You know, I think NIDO, Northeast New Mexico Development, is part of that, which is a Nine
Yeah.
County area.
Yeah.
She's working on that also, part of the spot.
So we're trying to get that started
good.
again, but we're also trying to find somebody to fill that spot.
Thank you. Any other questions? Now I entertain a motion to approve the September financial report.
I'll move, we approve the financials as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
Mr. Primrose?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
And Mr. Box?
Yes.
And motion carried.
All right, thank you. Next would be Mr. Kaiser, Academic Affairs.
Mr. Chairman, Board, you have the academics report for this month. And I just wanted to start with what's already been said and thank Coach Hughes and our amazing students. They excel on the rodeo. It's not exactly a field, but they excel on the grounds and in the classroom as well. So there was a lot of excitement last week, and I just wanted to say thank you to all that helped and represented our college. As Dr. Moss mentioned, it was brought up concerns about our spring break, our academic spring break, and where that would fall in relation to other institutions we worked with. So we sent out an institutional survey and polled our staff and faculty on the need to move our spring break to better align with Tucumcari High's spring break. And we had a majority, 70+% to move our spring break. So I believe we're moving our spring break to align with Tucumcari High's spring break.
If you all pass that
If you approve.
change to the calendar.
That would be on March 18th through the 21st, is that correct?
And next year?
Yes.
Right.
For this coming spring.
Right. So we'll go ahead and make a motion to change those dates for our spring break.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Primrose?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Box?
Yes.
And Mr. Sandoval? And motion carried.
Turn it back to Mr. Kaiser.
Thank you. Today also, we had the first of our 2-day Board of Nursing visit. The theme of the nursing visit is what I got from our reviewers were, how can we get your nursing program to success? So during this multi-day visit, we have a representative from the Board of Nursing specific to education, and the other representative was specific to accreditation, national accreditation. So they meet with our students, they meet with our faculty, and most importantly, our director of nursing, Shannon Fries. And their goal is to assess the program, assess the curriculum, meet with the students, of course, and gather how well and best to support this program moving forward, and then to make recommendations to Shannon and so on to administrators as well. And that was the majority of the afternoon this afternoon. I think we had a really supportive visit with our two advisors, and they gave us pages of notes to work through. And the theme that I kept seeing come up in all these discussions were that we have invested staff and faculty in our students' success here. So they see it, and of course, understanding that these reviewers have seen programs, nursing programs that are in total disarray, and seen them go through the entire process to success. So of course, we're early on in our program, so they're able to identify areas that we can make changes now, and then take an assessment in the next, I believe in the next year, sometime in the next year, they'll do a follow-up. So a really good visit today, and tomorrow it'll be hands-on, looking at curriculum with our director and meeting with our students. So that's some success. I think it's very successful having these kind of visits. A lot of times we worry we're going to get cited or get put on notice, but that's not the purpose of this visit. This visit is to give us direction and resources for this program to succeed.
What does Santa Fe say about it?
Well, this group actually, or like an example, Santa Fe Community College, you mean, or the state?
The state.
Well, they are
They are
representing the State Board of Nursing.
Since they took everything away from us, I'm just wondering if they're gonna let us do the nursing.
They're giving us the tools to succeed and direction. And I think from their point of view, they're measuring not only the impact on an academic level, but after this nursing cohort completes, they can now go to work, not only locally, and our hope is always that they go to work locally, they embed, they have their families here, they invest in this community. But on a regional level, the state likes to hear that the investment is for the region, of course. So right now, our cohorts that are in play, and I believe we have 16 students in both cohorts, most of them are already employed in Quay County, in this region. So that measure alone, when we go to defend and ask for funding for this RPSP request, that's something I think that we have in our favor. We have people that are already here, their families are here, their investment is here, and we want to keep them here. And I'm sure the state wants to keep them here too.
There's some jobs here, what are they gonna do?
So I think that's part of this. As this program grows, you'll start to see some other avenues of jobs that'll turn up, and maybe one day we'll have some
And that
long-term
was
care.
something that the visiting team that I appreciated hearing is they see the potential of that program in the future. We're just getting started, but this area, doesn't have enough health personnel to support much more. And so, when you offer a program locally, instead of them having to go to Albuquerque or Clovis or someplace else, they're more likely to stay here. And, you know, they brought up several things about once we get going, here's some other directions that you can grow your program, and that was good to hear.
Well, it's such a dire need of nursing everywhere, so that's a perfect program.
You said all 16 were employed here?
For the most part, we have a couple of brand new students, but I think we were in
Over
the
60%.
60% are employed within Logan. Some are EMS, some are working out at the hospital, some are working in home health care. So they want to level up their credentials. They want to improve and get onto that nursing job, you know.
We have a few that didn't they take like our CNA phlebotomy last
Right,
semester
right.
and are now enrolled in our nursing program. So,
Are they going, I mean, are there some from like Clayton or Las Vegas or Santa Rosa that are coming here also?
I think we have.
Amarillo, Santa Rosa.
Okay.
Amarillo, Santa Rosa.
You're only guy
I could tell you was going to say something.
but that, if you remember, that's part of the RPSP is, you know, we know there's a need in Clayton, just like there is here, and that's part of our service region. And so that was part of that RPSP was, can we expand, you know, let's support the program we have here, but can we expand that into that area too? So, because that's a long way to drive
Yeah.
every day for students, but if we could.
Most of the people in Santa Rosa used to come here to shop and see the doctors. Now it's the other way around. Now we have to go to Santa Rosa to see the doctors down there. It's in the hospital, but this hospital here, if you cut your finger, like I told Vicky, I said, if you cut your little finger, you can put a patch on it. But if you cut the other one, they send you out of town because they don't know what the hell to do here.
Well, I would think that these students, not
These
just our
students here will
students,
teach them, so.
but the students that are coming up, they're going to change that. They're going to impress. I think they're going to impress us all. And at least I hope so for me,
I
you know.
hope too,
Yeah.
for the sake of the hospital.
Right.
Well, and also, you know, in our discussion, you know, I know there's talk about trying to build a new hospital and stuff like that. And we need to, I think part of that is, do we have the personnel to staff it? And I think this program is working to build that in the area.
Definitely.
I hope so. But a new hospital ain't gonna help us any. I don't think so.
Got to have people to run it,
People
staff it.
They know how to run it.
The only other item I wanted to mention on the academic side, this is the 10th week of instruction for the fall semester. So I wanted to take a moment just to thank our faculty, thank our staff, doing an outstanding job, thank our students. And at the same time, we have this whole other enrollment event happening that is corrections. Our constant corrections, our facilities, which are 9 different facilities that we support with students at each facility, which is it's a beast. I'll just say that it's a beast, and it's been successful very much with our registrar, Brian Bailey, and our I'm terrible with the titles, Jessica Gonzalez, our enrollment director.
Executive Director of Admissions.
Admissions director, and they've been doing an amazing job getting these students what they need for their financial aid status, their plans of study, and it's just amazing what we're seeing. So thank you. Any questions?
Well, I'd like to make another comment back to the meeting last night. I noticed whenever you mentioned that Mesa is in hopes of starting some of the vocational schools back up last night, every one of those board members in the crowd was stood there shaking their head yes. So I think that's great support from our community for our future opportunity in those fields here.
Yeah.
And with vocational, I can offer this. We have a planning meeting for welding curriculum across the state this Friday with New Mexico HED. And then the following week, there's a meeting where all the welding coordinators and VPs are welcome to go to sit in a room and hash out curriculum that are shared welding learning outcomes that will be accepted across the state. So if you take applied welding 1 here, it will count toward a level 1, let's say a level 1 intro certification. Or if you take pipeline welding 1 here, it's going to be as good as pipeline welding at New Mexico State. So some really wonderful opportunities are coming up for us.
That's great. Any other questions?
Questions?
Mr. Kaiser?
My granddaughter is taking welding there in Roswell, and she loves it.
TIG welding or MIG welding? What's her favorite?
Well, TIG,
TIG.
is what she's doing, yeah. Yeah, but she's just starting and loving and learning and just loving it. Yeah.
The TIG welder, if you guys have not TIG welded before, of course you got to take a class with us. But TIG welding, the tip of that tungsten is smaller than the tip of a sharp pencil. So your welding field, your envelope, is that fine. And I've been wondering, I used to give welders grief because they had magnifying glasses in their hood. I can't even see the welding now, but they're actually doing that idea of doing a row of dimes for the perfect weld. They're doing that on a level that's the size of a pencil mark, which is amazing to me. But yes, try out some TIG welding. We love it. We love it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for all you do. Next would be Student Affairs. Mr. McVeigh.
Good evening. A few highlights that I would like to bring to your attention. Of course, the rodeo was fantastic, and I want to thank everyone that was involved with that. I can tell you that the first night of our rodeo, we had 291 in attendance that we counted at the gates. The second night, we had 289, so it was pretty consistent those 2 nights. So we enjoyed that. Also, want to thank the class of 2026 who were there with the concession stand. Fantastic burritos. I enjoyed them very much. But they had some great chili pie as well, and but just a great opportunity to provide that for the students to raise money there as well. And it was just a great event overall. Along athletics, I also want to highlight that's not in my report, but it just came to my attention. Esports will be receiving their computers. If you recall, we won a grant where only 5 colleges in the nation were selected and 25 high schools across the nation as well. So we're one of 5. They'll be receiving gaming systems that were going to be installed on November 2nd. So we're very excited about those gaming systems being installed on November 2nd. And we're going to be having a great day with that. The organization, Generations Esports, they'll be coming out with media and, of course, filming and taking photos and unboxing and setting everything up and helping us with that. So we're very excited for our esports team and what they've accomplished in doing that. Enrollment has been moving along, like Mr. Kaiser stated. We're in the 10th week of our semester. We've had our mental health that's been worked on for our students, resources that are being provided through Ms. Patricia Crook. Our enrollment team is working really well together, so very proud of that. And we've had campus tours, and of course, as you can see, we've had financial aid disbursements have gone out, and we're preparing for the second ones, and completed our phys apps. Recruitment, Mr. Galindo did a great job as he was out recruiting at the college fairs across the state, and he came back with 176 prospective students who were very serious about pursuing their education here at Mesalands. He's very excited about those 176 students, so The next step is to connect them with their lead faculty so that lead faculty can reach out and answer any questions that they might have. But we thank Mr. Galindo for his work doing that. And then, of course, working on through marketing was a lot with the rodeo these past few weeks. And then student life, we've had great opportunities for our students to meet together, some activities during rodeo week, which we had root beer floats, we had cookies, we had all kinds of wonderful activities and delicious treats. But of course, we want to make sure that our students are building community and feeling a part of Mesalands Community College. And of course, Clery Act, we've got the reporting completed. It's on our website. Those are all of our incidents reports and safety protocols that are all been uploaded and done. So we continue to update our policies and reports and procedures as we go along. So those are some highlights I just wanted to mention there. I'll take any questions if you have any questions.
Any questions for Mr. McVeigh?
If I could add, and I should have probably mentioned this in my report, I know there's been a lot of public input into the housing up at Bella Manor. I actually went to the city council meeting Thursday night just because I wanted to make sure that I put the college's stance on everything there. I made a point to say, yes, it is very valuable to college. It's very valuable to recruiting because it's an option that we have other housing options, but that is the most typical college house, as close to that as we get. But I also said I appreciate Mr. Pacheco making an effort to provide that for us, but I also wanted everything to be done in accordance with codes and laws and all of those things. And I didn't necessarily voice a position on the agenda or the item to roll back the designation to R1 or anything like that. Also visit with some of the residences of Georgetown after the meeting outside, and we had a good conversation. I would note that we do have 7 students, I think, that are currently living there, and at this point we don't have an accurate idea of what or when those students might have to relocate. I know a couple of them have already worked on transition plans, but that's just kind of an update on that.
And the city commission did change it to R1?
Yes.
Which is single resident?
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Yeah. I didn't stay for that part, but, or maybe I did. I don't remember. I've been to too many meetings. But
I'm sorry, I do want to kind of revisit the nursing visit accreditation today to mention that they did mention as well that a program that is active for 5 years and has a good reputation, what usually occurs is that you have long-term facilities and health industry that begin looking at your community. So what this has the potential of doing is pulling more of the health industry into Tucumcari. Something that we do know is that Santa Rosa doesn't have a long-term care facility, but that's something that, because if you have the nursing staff that can go into those, then you'll be able to pull one in. So the opportunities are there for Tucumcari as well,
Right,
with the success of this program.
right. And they still have one in Logan.
We do have one in Logan, so that's right. Thank you.
That's great. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. McVeigh. Thank you for all that you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next is Administrative Affairs, Mr. Martinez.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Start off with an update that I actually just received today before that meeting with the individuals from the nursing program. And it's an update for Building A project, thankfully, something we've been waiting on for some time. We'd gone back and forth with the HED and with the contractor. So the latest I've received, I requested a few changes to the change orders. There's one change order which is more of a balancing change order, just to get everything brought up to speed. And then the second change order is going to be roughly around $5,000. And what that allows us to do is complete the restrooms across from the business office right now. Another thing that I think some of the most important timing in projects is the planning stage and the design stage. You don't want to come back after the fact and say, oh, I wish we'd have done that. So back and forth with the email, I made sure I said, all right, since this is a major renovation, we need to make sure that it meets ADA compliance. Knowing how tight that space is where the restrooms currently exist, it'd be a tough thing to accomplish. So we had a meeting last Thursday, myself, the architect, Park Hill, as well as WWRC, the contractor, and we discussed how we would make that happen to make it ADA compliant. If it was not, obviously it would not be eligible for the funds that we'd be utilizing and put us in some issue for not following ADA compliance. So we've hashed that out. They're rendering some drawings now just to get something basic to get us to the next point where we could get it approved through the state. So yes, it's a little bit more of a delay, but at least we're doing it right. We're moving forward, we're making progress. The information I received just a little bit ago looks as though Park Hill, the architect, has signed off on the change order, as well as WWRC. There's another component that complicates it a little bit more. This actual construction contract is through CES. So once I get all of that information filtered over and I'm happy with it, I'll send it up to HED again, ask for their blessing, and then I'll have to get a notice of obligation to obligate those extra $5,000 to make sure it's coming out of state funds and not college funds. And then we have to bring before you an official change, an amendment to the contract with CES for WWRC. So it's a lot of moving parts, but I'm really excited because we're finally moving forward. We're not sitting stagnant, and we're doing it the right way, and we're going to make this happen and get it done hopefully soon. Also, I've had the opportunity to review some of the documentation for the GEO bond for library purchases. Just doing some research, just being overly cautious. I know there's been some concern in the past where maybe funds didn't receive those notice of obligations through HED, and then the college had to pay out of pocket for those expenditures. So working and communicating with HED to see if that's the same process for the library. I'm not 100% sure it is, just trying to be a little bit overcautious to make sure we don't take that out of our funds. On the procurement standpoint, numerous requisitions and purchase orders. Also, many of the executive team or module managers have been doing the info maker training. That's where we could pull additional reports. So once I get all of those purchase orders submitted and sent out to the board, if that's not quite what you're looking for, there's a good chance once we get fully trained, which we have one more session, I believe. I want to say it's maybe Halloween is our last session. We may have the capability to generate a report that's specific to what you're looking like and bring that in and have that printed out every meeting or however often you'd like to see that. So that's encouraging. The training is going really well, and it's opened up, I think, a lot of opportunities, and at least in my eyes, they can provide some information on the back end that I didn't realize we could do on our own. And it's a future goal. I've talked to Dr. Moss. Not now, obviously, we need to continue with what we're doing, but maybe cutting out some of those third-party companies that help generate those reports, because we might be able to do those on our own. But again, that's kind of midterm, long-term goals. But it's encouraging to see there's a lot more out there that we could work with. Still have some openings for maintenance and custodial position. We're looking to fill that, as well as an IT coordinator position. There's numerous others listed on the website as well, HR director. So again, if any are interested, please share the word. We're looking for somebody willing to work and good work. Also wanted to emphasize what Dr. Massa brought up earlier. We are working on hosting the Small Business Development Center, Luna Community College, NEDO, Northeastern Economic Development Organization, New Mexico State. They're all partnering to provide the Business 101 boot camp here on October 26th from 10 a.m. till noon. So if you know anybody wanting to start a small business or already in that area, encourage them to attend as well. Really good, and this all kind of came about from what I understand was I was able to sit on the interview committee for that SBDC director interview and screen applicants in the interview process. And like I said, Ms. Gallegos was actually asking about hosting it, and she put me in contact with the individual from Luna Community College. So I think that shows, even though maybe we don't have anybody hired here locally, it shows our involvement on a state level that we're partnering with other SBDC locations to make that come to life. So that's
On the local level, Christine Olson with Economic Development.
Correct.
Is,
She's also working
is
on
working
that.
real close with that, so if you need to talk with somebody locally, that gives you a good contact.
Perfect, thank you. Another community engagement that we're working on just came about, I think, I want to say Monday. Everything kind of meshes together. But we're working with the Quake County Health Council to host on November 8th I believe it's mental health care providers here in Tucumcari. They're going to have a small business meeting, and they wanted to utilize the great room, which will be occupied that day, but we're working on looking at additional space, whether it's, say, the boardroom or another place that I think is a really inviting, open, welcoming place that's clean and easy to accommodate people, is the Wind Energy Building. So I'll be speaking with them tomorrow to follow up on that and look for another location. Also attended a meeting to discuss priorities for the wind turbine. We've talked about that in the past, different options from a repower to a complete new construction of a new wind turbine to just replacing key components to keeping it in compliance and safe enough to utilize. So working on that, and that ties in with the RFP SP request. Also have been working on continuing efforts on contacting the insurance company. I hadn't been the most successful. I know Dr. Moss had reached out to a few individuals and had talked about a few things, the schedule and buildings and what's actually listed, things that may need to be added or removed. That's something that should be kept up with regularly. Anytime we have new construction, we need to make sure we add things onto the schedule and things that need to be removed if they no longer exist. And then we'll have to discuss this, but I had been planning on a meeting to host, Mesalands hosting for our local legislators to discuss capital outlay priorities. We may shift that a little bit. I'll speak with Dr. Moss about that within the next week or so, considering that we're not eligible since our audits are not completed. But again, it was a good learning experience. We know what to expect in the future, and thankfully it was. We did what we could to that point. We couldn't just give them, say, oh, we don't think the audit's not going to be on time, and just give up. So we still, to the very last minute, pushed forward as much as we can in case we were able to do that. But with that, that concludes my report. If there's anything else that you want questions on, or
I'd like to ask a few questions about the insurance of it. It concerns me that it's drug on so long. But I mean, this is 5 months after it happened, and we should have had these claims took care of by then. Do we have a local agent that's working on this, or who do we have our insurance with, and do we have involvement with an agent, or you just have to work with the adjuster and they can't really decide what to do on it? It just seems like there's a whole lot there.
it is. So it's
that
complicated.
we're not getting the service that we pay for.
So our insurance goes through the New Mexico Public NMCA Public Insurance
School Insurance Authority or something like that.
School insurance, I think. So with that, they then subcontract with Palms Insurance, and then they also, for claims, they contract with a company called CCMSI. So when it came to the claim, the people I've been in contact with is CCMSI, and specifically a gentleman who's our adjuster, and I have multiple emails that have gone out to him with no response to date. So the next step, to me, is following the chain of command and go up to the claims manager. And if that's unsuccessful, I don't know if we reach out to NMCA. I know Dr. Moss, like I said, had reached out to multiple individuals from NMCA to Palms, and that's how we finally found out what was actually on the schedule.
And part of that was connected to, looking into what was covered, what was not, things released from the foundation. And so I contacted NMCA and, I got an idea of what they do in this. And then they also gave me the contact for, I don't think it was Palms, I think it was whatever else you said,
CCMSI.
Yeah, something like that. And so I was able to get a list of everything that is on their statement of values to show what, and that's going to have to be changed because we still have stuff like Stampede Village, dorms on there. And so there's some things that aren't on there that should be, and you're supposed to update that every November. Mark even mentioned to me, hey, can you see what you can find out about where our claim at, and I forgot to do that because I was involved in all that other stuff. But that's definitely something I need to follow up with the guys that I contacted. But it's kind of a convoluted mess.
It seems like it to me, and it's kind of, you worked around, another one of my questions was when was the last time that they provided and come to Mesalands and sat down and went over the list of things we have, what needs do we have that they're not covered, that we should have covered, what need to be deleted, like Stampede Village and so forth like that. That's something that needs to be done annually.
Yeah.
And especially for this size of operation and all the changes that's continued to move it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know when the last time they provided some service like that to Mesalands.
And I think, so
So,
what I think they do is, I don't know if they do that, I doubt they do that every year, but you're supposed to update your list every year, and it may have been done last November, I don't know. But, it definitely needs some updating, and we had a good conversation with the foundation about, some things they're doing, and so there's some things we need to try to get added to that statement of values, or some things that won't need to be added that probably should have been in the past. But yeah, that's definitely something we're gonna keep an eye on and make sure that we get.
well, and I was just wondering if that was part of what's causing part of the problems here, because it's outdated and they said, no, that's not on the list, or
The
whatever,
stuff that's been in question for the claims, I think, is definitely on the list, other than the discussion with the foundation. But everything here, what I was told the last time I had contact with the adjuster, was his focus, because it was an emergency, was building E, the wind energy building, due to the spread of the mold, which was taken care of. So they jumped in, and to that point, communication had been difficult. But I think once we had some urgency and they realized the severity of the situation, they jumped in and they moved really quickly, so I was impressed. And then it kind of tapered off again, and it's been quiet, because I'm still concerned about trying to get the building E complete, but what about the rest of the facilities on campus? Not to mention, there's still some things they had not taken a look at. They need to look at the truck that's utilized by the rodeo coach. They needed to look at some of the tractors and stuff. Some windows were broke out. And even though they're minor things, now that we're getting into the colder months, we may get snow or cold and moisture, that could cause further damage. And we've been clear. I put it in writing. I stopped calling to a point just so I could document everything in writing at this point. But it is disappointing not getting communication. So it's a continued effort. But
well, and this storm was classified as a cat loss, and the insurance companies put more adjusters and resources into taking care of those claims at that time, and that's part of my reason. 5 months later, we're still trying to get this stuff done. It's just an unreasonable amount of wait time, as far as I'm concerned, as an insurance agent.
I agree.
I wouldn't be happy if you was my client. Let me put it that way.
I agree.
And I looked down the list of clients of NEMCIA, and not everybody uses them. Around here, Tucumcari School, Logan, San Juan, all the school districts that I could see are part of that. But there are some colleges that aren't. And what I'm used to is, at some point we may need to look at some other. That doesn't help us right now, but what would be the best? Of course, when you do that, the problem with going away from a public insurance is you run the risk of those premiums. They may be low to start with, but they may go back up after that. But I don't know. That's something we could look at down the road.
All of that's part of it, yeah. And you have to continually look at it.
Yeah.
This stuff. Yes.
And I'm used to the insurance coming yearly and inspect the buildings and get a list of the buildings. It ought to be on our fixed assets for sure. It's part of our audit, but I agree, sometimes it's just difficult to get people to do what they're supposed
have something by next month. It can't continue this way. It's time to move on. And again, I was respecting the chain of command, but it's to a point where now sky's the limit. We need to get answers. It's been too long.
Any other questions for Mr. Martinez?
You said you're gonna have people who wanna start a business to come here when?
October 26th, I believe that's next Wednesday?
Is
Next
there-
Thursday.
25th.
25th, sorry, the
25th.
25th.
Is there registration
There's gonna be
prior?
6 of them held within the region here. At Santa Rosa, Raton, Springer, Moore, and Las Vegas. They'll
Correct.
be
And I
putting that on,
have
so-
the flyer. I know it's in the email
Good.
somewhere.
Now, I would also add, that got me to thinking, October 26th is a very important date. Is it community ed, the ballerinas? Is that community ed, or how is that attached?
Yeah, right, it's community ed, yes, and
So October 26th at 5:30, they will be having a, what is it called, a Halloween,
Oh, I remember seeing that.
Halloween recital. So 5:30 on October, sorry, the October 25th date reminded me of that, so.
What time?
It's from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon. 2 hours.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks for all you do. Next is report from Mr. Garcia, Staff Senate President.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Board. I'm good. How are you? So I'm here this evening to just give a little update on our Staff Senate. We had a meeting on October 5th. And the first thing we conducted was we needed to replace our vice president because Mr. Matt Benavides left towards the beginning of the semester. So Miss Nikki Vasquez, who's our librarian, was nominated for vice president, and the motion passed unanimously for her to be our new vice president. So Nikki joins myself and Rachel as the officers for Staff Senate now. And then we had some questions, concerns that were brought up by employees, just some things that I discussed with Dr. Moss and Joel Kaiser about when we met. One of the things was moving spring break to match the Tuncumcari schools and the Logan schools, which the board approved tonight, so staff will be very happy about that. Another one was on the status of the personnel handbook. I know I talked to Dr. Moss and we're hoping to get that approved in November, maybe December at the latest.
Yeah.
They were just, a lot of the staff was just wondering the status on that. They hadn't heard anything on that lately. A safety concern was about the night supervisor position. We used to have a night supervisor that would work in the evenings up front. And there is no night supervisor this semester, correct?
Right.
So it was just concerns, like from 6 to 9, we have some work study students who are here by themselves during the evening. So we just wanted to make sure there's more of a presence around at night. So I know like some of the faculty who are here are walking around, some of the maintenance people are walking around at night, just to make sure we still have that presence around, even though there's no night supervisor. Just especially here in the next few weeks when we set the clocks back, it'll be, pitch dark after 6 when everybody leaves. So we want to make sure and have that presence for our work study students and our regular students as well. And then they just wanted to check bases on some of the job postings, what's current, what's being filled. I know Mark talked some about the postings that are up right now. The employees also wanted to be kept in communication about the board meetings. Just they felt that earlier in the year when there was all this going on, there was a lot of communication about come to the board meetings, this is when they are. And they felt like that communication kind of went away a little bit. So, but I know an email was sent last week just reminding everybody there's a meeting tonight. You can come in person, or you can a lot of employees do watch online. They get online and watch the stream. So they just want to know when that is. That way they can make sure and do that.
And also included, well, I think I copied you all after I sent the email. where the meetings are posted and where
Right.
they can get that information. And I told I think when Mr. Garcia brought this, you know, there are some things we've done in the past that we have to decide, okay, do we have time to do that or not? And so,
Right.
but we want everybody to have the information. There's no question of that.
Right.
We've got citizens that watch it too. I've got grilled by one or two of them, want to know, how come y'all did such and such, or why didn't you do something? So,
Right.
I don't know just how many, but there's enough that I've been questioned by a couple
Right.
anyway.
Do we have that information, how many actually watch?
I think there's a count on there, right?
I can tell you right now, there's 3 people watching currently.
3.
And I'm one of them. Just make sure everything's working.
Well, I know some will watch because they want to see a certain thing discussed, like the spring break issue, and then they'll log off once they say, "Oh, it's passed, okay." Another issue they just wanted to know the status about was just the fitness center. You know, I know a lot in the community are wanting to know when it's going to go back to the 24/7 access. And we're still working on that. I know it's kind of been a big, lengthy process, more than we thought with that.
Yeah, and if I could add, Mark would probably give an update, but so what the problem has been is we're waiting on parts for that door with the key card. Those been on order for a few months with a local security company, and so we're trying to keep contact with them. You know, do you have an idea when that's going to come in? And we've also looked at maybe some alternatives, but to get to 24/7, we need to have that because we can't afford to pay somebody to be there 24 hours a day. And we do have the cameras installed. We added some cameras in those areas for when we do go to that. But that's what we're waiting on is I don't know that I've passed that on to y'all either, but we're still trying to get to that point.
And I just wanted to add something to that. We do have a short-term solution to just have some more activity, some oversight in that space. So we've got some student workers that are interested in operating in the evening and actually being in the space, cleaning the space, picking up the weights, so that you have another presence in the space. So if you're in there alone, you know, sometimes it's kind of, you want another person in there lifting. And the same for the weekend. We're looking at some coverage for the weekend too. And Dean, with the evening coordinator, our short-term fix for that evening coordinator is this guy beside me and myself. So we're covering 2 nights where we're roaming, and we're going to get that information out to our staff and faculty, where we'll carry the institutional cell phone. So if there is a concern, we can call that number. We also have some faculty members that are going to be manning the shift or the post up front. So we have a presence up there for our students.
Right. A couple other things, some of the employees were wondering about just area office updates, you know, the coming and going of employees. There were some employees that left suddenly that people didn't know about, you know, and they were just surprised that they had gone. But it was employees that just left spur of the moment, so it was kind of hard to get that info out to everybody just to let them know that they were gone. And then the last thing was just on the smoking, vaping policy on campus. Employees have noticed there's been students that they haven't been smoking or vaping in the designated areas, so they just had concerns on that. So I know I met with Dr. Moss on that, and we talked about just making sure that, you know, we get that monitored, and we don't want people smoking and vaping right outside the door, right next to the doors, or places they're not supposed to be. So,
and I'd also add, I think Mr. McVeigh is working on an email to send out to all staff and students, one, advising them of our policy, you know, maybe identifying a couple areas where they can go, and also if there is an incident where, like if it's a student, that needs to go to student affairs. If it's a faculty or staff member, then that would need to be reported to administration. So he is getting that. So.
But I think overall the morale is really high with the employees this semester. I know we're all very busy just because there's a lot more students on campus, we've noticed. Especially getting through the midterms and everything like we have. I think everything's going pretty well this semester and everybody seems to be in good spirits. So.
That's great.
Yep.
Any questions for Mr. Garcia?
On the security issues, are there cameras on some of these buildings or any of these buildings? All of them?
Yeah. I think just the major concern was there was always somebody up in the front office at night that they could call or they knew was there that could see people come in that front door, and now there's not. So they were just kind of worried about what if somebody just walks in off the street and then, you know, they're already in their office and nobody's seen them come in. So that was a major concern there, just especially once it's dark out and everybody leaves it.
Is that the only door that's open at night, or is there some of these other, you know?
I think all the main entrances are open till 8 or 9.
9 o'clock.
And that's when the custodians, you know, lock everything down. And, you know, I think that was part of when we were looking at budget cuts and we looked at, you know, cutting. I think the person that served in the gym was also the person that did the night. Is that
Yeah.
right? And so that was just one of those things that can we do without that? But, you know, that's one of the things as we look at the budget and, you know, how much room do we have? What are our biggest needs? You know, it's something we're gonna have to, and Mr. Kaiser and Mr. McVeigh have been looking at some alternatives other than those two doing the drawing. But yeah. I also want to say I appreciate Mr. Garcia. You know, I want the staff and faculty to feel at ease if they have a concern or question to bring that up, and you know, then we need to address it. And you know, there are other things that we still are working on, but I appreciate that they're willing to give those at the meeting, that he's willing to bring them and give us a chance to you know, address. Doesn't mean we're always going to agree or please everybody, but I think that communication needs to be happening. So I appreciate that.
And Dr. Moss sent out an email, I think the day after we met, just going over a lot of these to all the employees. So just so they knew, you know, it's been addressed or what the status is of it. So.
Absolutely. I think communication is really important.
Mm-hmm.
That way it doesn't fester. So we
Right.
address communication with staff or students or anybody involved. And I think it's extremely important. We appreciate y'all working together to do that. Glad to hear that the staff is more at ease.
Yeah, I think it's going really well this semester.
Great.
I would also add Julio Galindo is also watching. He'd send me a text. So just so y'all know, I want to acknowledge that.
Put that in the record.
If there are not any more questions, appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Next, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into executive session.
Second.
We'll have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell,
Yes.
Mr. Box,
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval,
Yeah.
Mr. Rose,
Yes.
and motion carried.
contractors has got a long list of
Okay.
people that get the work done, so.
I'll entertain a motion to reconvene from executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I so move we reconvene from the executive session.
No, second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Box?
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
Mr. Primrose?
Yes.
And Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
And the motion carried.
All right, we don't have correspondence. We've got our Board of Trustees calendar and reports. Our next meeting will be on the 15th, correct?
Wednesday the 15th. Yes, sir.
Wednesday.
Here at 5:30. And any other business, or I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. Roll call, please.
Mr. Box? Mr. Box?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Sandoval?
Oh.
Yes.
Mr. Primrose?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
And Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
And the motion carried to
I did-
adjourn